And now, the moment you've all been waiting for.
Lads, I don't know what film you were watching, but it wasn't the same film I saw.
I'm all the man you need, Mark.
Yeah, I was pretty shocked and appalled.
So I'll bring it up, Ted.
It wasn't a very good movie. I laughed at it more than I laughed at The Possession.
Good evening and welcome to Is It a Bicycle? Season 7, Episode 14, the original and bestest ever TV and movie podcast. My name is Stephen Wrigley and I'll be your host for this evening. Beside me is a man who only watches Deadliest Catch and Jersey Shore because he likes watching other people catch crabs too. It's Mike, the McDonough. Joining us this week, live from Vegas, we have a man who says people who don't understand sarcasm are awesome. It's Shaun, I love cans. In the blue corner, it's our cuddly killer, a man who says he's not really that competitive, but he still managed to finish his 14-day diet in 3 hours 27 minutes. It's Mark, superhero. This week, we hope to discuss some movies in the shape of 2-Night-Stand and Walk Among the Tombstones, and some TV in the shape of Forever and Gotham. Of course, we'll have the usuals, the news with Mark, and some trailers in Coming to a Bicycle near you. So how are we doing?
Not doing too bad, Steve. Thanks for asking.
Good stuff. I hope our listeners are doing well too, Shaun.
Yes, I love our listeners. They're the best.
So, what did we see this week that wasn't on the list?
I watched the first episode of Season 20, The Ultimate Fighter.
Oh, yeah.
Which also has, seems to be the trend, it also features an Irish fighter, Ash the Bash Daly, another one of John Kavanagh's fighters, who was picked last, despite the fact that she's seeded number 5 in the world in her weight division.
That was crazy, wasn't it?
It appears that Ultimate Fighting coaches try and judge books by their covers or something.
Yeah.
Because Ash looks like a fighter, so I don't really know what they were judging it on. But
it looks like it's going to be a good season.
Well, can I say something controversial?
Go on.
I don't like watching women fight.
Why is that, Matt?
I've no problem. It's the same reason why I don't like watching lightweights fight. And this probably makes me a bad person for not liking lightweights and women in the same breath. I've no problem with them hitting each other. I'm fine. They can hit each other fine. It doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
It's the fact that it's unlikely someone's going to get knocked out. And then I had this exact conversation with Michelle about to start watching UFC as a woman's fight was coming on, and then one of the girls got completely smashed and knocked unconscious. And Michelle was kind of looking at me going, "What are you? Didn't you used to know about this stuff?" So I just don't like them because they tend to be decisions a lot of the time, and that's in the weight class that we have in this Ultimate Fighter, 115 pounds or something really, really light.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of decisions in the occasional submission. Hopefully we'll see a lot of submission victories. So then I thought that,
yeah.
And the first fight in the first episode, it really looked like somebody was getting knocked out. So I think this season might change my mind about watching women fight, possibly. I'll keep you posted.
I was kind of in the same camp as yourself, and I've seen the first 2 episodes, and when I first heard it was going to be an all-female season, I was sort of like, really? But it has been fantastic so far. I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to watching the next couple of episodes. Right, and I know it's a preview. We should leave it for Coming to a Bicycle. But Conor McGregor is fighting on Saturday night.
Yes, indeed he is. Yeah.
I can't say.
Are you going to swing down and have a look, Shaun? He's only around the corner from you.
Oh, people keep saying that to me. I'm like, I don't want to.
Would you not just go down and say, I'm here with Conor McGregor, I'm Irish? I'm sure the people in the MGM Grand will just say, in you go, man.
I also know people who work there, so yeah, I could probably go. I just am really interested in it.
Oh, you'd enjoy it. To be such an Irish frenzy whenever he comes out and does his thing.
I was just going to say I don't agree with you on the women's fighting.
Oh, really?
I think it's been more entertaining of late, because particularly with the heavyweight men, it's kind of degenerating into shite boxing. You don't see a lot of jits.
All right.
Whereas the female matches, there's a lot more jits than in the heavier weights.
Okay.
And also, they have the best WWE story arc In that I'm just waiting for the day that somebody comes in and smashes Ronda Rousey's face in.
It'll happen.
One day.
One day.
She may be 68 at that stage.
Exactly.
It sounds so bad.
know,
Waiting for someone to get beaten to shit.
Oh, so listen, we had a request to watch and to talk about Outlander. Season 1, episode 6 in particular. Did you get to this, Mike?
I did indeed.
And tell us.
Remember we watched the first couple episodes and we thought it had potential.
Yes.
And then I was basically saving up to watch the whole lot in one go. But one of our eagle-eyed listeners said, you got to see this.
D.A. Cheney.
So, I went and had a look, and Jesus. We thought initially this had the potential to be quite graphically violent.
Yeah.
And a little bit rude.
Yeah.
And that episode 6, holy Jesus, was like the Passion of the Christ kind of violence, you know.
They've upped their game, haven't they?
Yeah. They've taken, you know, I'll take your Game of Thrones and raise you crucifixion. But Tobias Menzies.
Yeah.
I saw him in what was that one? The woman, beautiful woman.
Oh, Katrina
Honourable Woman.
Oh, sorry, the Honourable Woman. Sorry, I thought you were
Maggie
talking
Gyllenhaal.
Yeah.
And he was quite good in that.
Yeah.
But I didn't think he had it in him to be an out-and-out bad guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, fair play to him.
Yeah.
He's got what it takes.
He does, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I love my favourite character at the moment is Dougal.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Mackenzie, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It is Mackenzie?
Yeah, they're all either Mackenzies or Frasers.
That's right, yeah. Dougal, he's just such a block of a dude.
Yeah, he certainly is.
I went on and watched episode 7 as well.
So did I.
Did you?
Yeah. I was so impacted by episode 6. I said I better watch number 7, and that wasn't so good.
Well, it was a game of two halves, wasn't it?
It was.
I mean, the first half of it really was Katrina Balfe, her character, coming to terms with what was about to happen and feeling guilty, I suppose.
Yeah.
But in the situation she's in, she probably did. It was the best outcome, let's say.
Yeah.
And then the second half was just like True Blood. It was just sex and nakedness.
Yeah.
And lots of it.
Yeah, but there wasn't a whole lot of story in it, was there? It kind of, you basically had soft porn and comic relief.
Yeah.
And there was only one little twist near the end that I thought, oh, okay, that's going to make the story interesting.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a much weaker episode.
Than 6. For sure. Yeah.
Because 6, like, there was a particular sequence in it that was just outstanding, you know, the balance between evil and sympathy.
Yeah.
In just the space of an expression that didn't need the dialogue for it. It was just brilliant. And
they seem to really have grown into their roles as well, you know. They're, I don't know if they just seem more believable.
Yeah.
Or something, you know, so. So yeah, I like this. I'm going to keep an eye on this.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Thanks for the heads up on that.
Was there anything in particular about that episode? Like, why was this one the one to watch?
I think this was the first time they took the gloves off and let it run with the logical conclusion of some of the implied violence. And they went quite a bit further than you'd normally expect, even on a HBO show, you know. It's probably not for everybody. You definitely won't be watching this with your kids.
Yeah. This is true. Yep. What else did we see this week? There's a new show called Scorpion. Season 1, episode 1.
Anything to do with Mortal Kombat?
No, unfortunately.
Richard Attenborough.
Get over here.
No, not him either. No. It's about a group of 4 sort of gifted but socially inept people. They're geniuses in all their own right, and they all have their special skills. And they're recruited by the Homeland Security to solve stuff.
Kind of like Fox Force 5, only there's 4 of them.
This is where the procedural's going, anyway. And
I was going to say a lot like this very podcast.
But Yeah, I won't be watching it. It's filler for me anyway. Yeah, it's not good, and it's not that the story isn't bad. Actually, what's his name? Terminator, Robert Patrick.
Yep.
Yeah, he's in it.
Okay.
Yeah, he's the main.
Can't be all that bad.
Contact. Fortunately, the script is very cliched.
Right.
And you know how I don't like that. So maybe you guys might like it.
Or is it just that you watch way too much TV?
Probably that too, yeah. What else? Z Nation.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Did you go back to it?
Didn't.
I did, yeah.
I heard your review of that. It was like, do you know when you do a really good interview but don't get the job? It's like, I listened to your review and then you all seemed to think it was Thriller at the end for some reason. And the two didn't marry up. But anyway, you watch it more, so I guess it really is Thriller.
AJ says that we've lost a listener due to our review and that.
Yeah.
He said he's not coming back, he's gone.
Wasn't there stuff about us being a disgrace to the profession?
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, Z Nation, it continued on in its awfulness and in its strangely compelling awfulness. I know, yeah. I kind of want to watch episode 3.
Yes.
Do you think they're going to get any closer to California?
I know, it's terrible. It's terrible. No, it's really terrible, but yeah. I'm probably going to want episode 3.
The worst shit you're ever going to keep watching.
I know. Oh, I saw Extant's season finale.
You're a sucker for punishment.
I know,
What's wrong with you?
I know. Well,
the pregnancy thing.
Yeah, remember we said it was really bad, and Yeah. So I kind of wanted to see how bad the finale was, and it was actually better than the pilot, but it still wasn't great. It's got a bit more meat to it now, and.
Does that mean she can't fit in the bikini anymore?
What it means is that there's a lot of stuff happening that they actually talk about rather than hide from each other and pretend isn't happening, which was driving me nuts in the first one. So yeah. But it won't be back. Yeah, I think was that it? Is it a 1-season deal? Is it?
Extant, no idea. It probably should be, or even less than 1 season.
Yeah.
I watched the second episode of Utopia, or maybe the third one. I don't know. Here's the problem with that show. It's just really, really, really repetitive.
Oh, really?
Unless someone gets injured. It's literally just people are going to have a fight, probably with the same basic shit every day. They're going to yell at each other, or fight each other with their fists. Then they'll separate, then they'll come back and hug each other. Repeat.
Yeah.
That's not going to do it for me for too long. Yeah. I mean, it's still great to see the depths to which humanity can go when it clangs about and within itself.
Yeah.
But no.
Was there alcohol involved this time?
No, it was just human beings, which is almost worse.
Yeah.
I've been watching a lot of Impractical Jokers, actually, the last couple of weeks.
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen that? It's kind of like Jackass, only much nicer. They don't try and go extreme.
Yeah.
It's all about kind of embarrassment. And see how far would a guy go in saying stuff that people tell him to say before his own sense of self-worth.
This is the one where someone's on a phone and or on a radio and someone has an in-ear bud.
Yeah.
And then he's out in the street.
Yeah, he's talking to strangers. Yeah.
And
he's got to follow it. And if he blinks, he loses a point. And then at the end of the episode, whoever lost the most has to do something particularly humiliating.
Oh God! Yeah,
but
they just wind me up, those shows.
I'll tell you, it's really good, really good. It's a lot more creative, I think, than Jackass because they're staying away from the extreme stuff.
Yeah,
they have to be, come up with good ideas of embarrassing things regularly. So I liked it.
You'll be watch more?
Oh yeah, I'll be watching this constantly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They're hilarious.
Okay, let's kick off. Let's go straight to news with Mark.
Maze Runner makes a liar out of me. I have been quoting the death of the young adult movie franchises for some time now, but the Maze Runner taking a huge September opening this weekend past in the US has proven me wrong. It opened below Divergent with just 32.5 million, but its much lower budget and the fact that in the majority of overseas market it opened significantly higher than Divergent, it's taken 49 million overseas so far, means it's in a pretty strong position with 9 of the top 15 markets yet to open. Maze Runner will almost certainly hit 200 million by the end of its run. Coming in at second place in the US and soon to be reviewed in this podcast was A Walk Among the Tombstones with 12.8 million. This is a soft debut for Neeson, as marketing seems to have failed to attract interest with the audience. Exit surveys give it a score of B-, meaning it's unlikely to generate a strong run overall, probably in the order of 40 million or so. Taking inflation into account, this is the worst debut for Neeson since he played Valjean in the 1998 version of Les Mis. Colin Farrell to publicise his cocaine addiction in Season 2 of True Detective. Yes, bicyclers and bicyclettes, Colin Farrell has confirmed to Irish newspaper The Sunday World that he will be playing bent cop Ray Velcoro, a barely functioning cokehead who has suffered years of turmoil in both his personal and professional life and is battling his ex-wife for custody of their son. It's more or less a biopic. Colin is no doubt delighted to be able to take prodigious amounts of drugs both off and on screen. The plot this season will up the ante from the pilot season with Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson to have 3 detectives this time around. Tipped for roles in this season alongside the irrepressible Irishman are Taylor Kitsch and Madman's Elizabeth Moss, with Vince Vaughn also tipped for a role. Star Trek 3 to reunite Nimoy and Shatner? Okay, take a couple of deep breaths, Star Trek fans. It's way too early to get excited. But it looks like a scene featuring William Shatner has been written into the third installment of the J.J. Abrams franchise. There are many reasons to withhold excitement just yet. There was a scene written for Shatner in the first movie that was later cut from the final script. Though there were rumours that good old Bill refused to appear as he felt the focus should be on his character and it not be a cameo. Surprise, surprise. In that vein, we really need to hold off getting excited until we hear whether Bill has agreed to do it or not. It would mark his first time on screen as Kirk since 1994's Star Trek Generations. Filming is due to begin mid-2015 for a 2016 release, so we have to try and not get too excited. Okay, it's too late. I'm way too excited. Back to you, Steve.
Thanks very much, Mark.
Mark, you seemed a little perturbed with the rumours that Vince Vaughn is going to be in True Detective.
Doesn't seem like a good casting fit to me.
Well, you'll be happy to know that he has come out and said he is going to be in True Detective and that deal is done.
I refer to my earlier statement.
I think that if he can make like 6 movies where he plays a psycho in a row, I think he'll be perfectly able to do True Detective playing a criminal who's trying to go straight. I think that's going to be fine.
I'd be curious to see if it's going to be the same director.
It's not. It's going to be directed by different people. The director for Fast and Furious, whose name I can't remember, is doing
Justin
2 episodes.
Lin.
That's the one. Thanks, Shaun. And they're sharing it around, apparently.
Right.
Nick Pizzolatto, the writer, creator, and director, tried to do all of the jobs in the first series. And someone asked him if there's anything he would have done differently, and he said, a lot of things. I'm going to kill myself if I keep doing this. So he decided to contract out a lot of it this time around, which might be, a pretty good idea. It'll be interesting to see what that does to the story, if it's as succinct or of a style as the previous season was. I'm very excited about it, though. I think both those guys can act really well when they feel like it, particularly Farrell, given what he's done in Bruges and Intermission.
Well, if they do anything as atmospheric as the last one, I think it'll be a good set for them. It'd be hard to muck it up.
Yeah, while my news story was entirely facetious, I think Colin Farrell will do a great job. Yeah. I think it'll play to a lot of his strengths.
Maybe
they're filming in California.
Is there a crossover, or is it just in the same universe?
It's in a completely different location. There's been no mention of any crossovers happening, but the fans will want it a lot, and that's the only real reason I could see it happening. They're filming in California, so I presume that it's not going to be anywhere near the same backwoods, countryside thing.
Okay, right. First up, we'll have the first of our movies, which is Two-Night-Stand. Shaun.
Two-Night-Stand is a film about what happens after sex but before love. It's a new romantic comedy starring Miles Teller and Annalay Tipton, directed the directorial debut of Max Nichols, the son of Mike Nichols. I actually had the chance to sit down and talk to Max about the film earlier on in the week. So follow him at EnjoyMaxNichols and check out the interview.
So, the first question that I had for you, a little basic, little one to get you warmed up. What is it that brought you to this script?
One of the things that Mark Hammer wrote such a fantastic script, and what was really appealing to me about it was how layered it was. You had this fantastic sort of hooky, attention-getting premise of, oh man, what happens when a young couple gets snowed in together after an awkward one-night stand and have to deal with each other as humans. And then, not only did he have the fantastic premise, but his execution of it filled the movie with sort of hilarious but also genuine insights into love and romance and dating and sex today. Sort of that would be more than enough for a great movie, but a great writer that Mark is, he also dug deeper and managed to include what felt to me a lot of very timely generational themes and sort of late coming of age elements that really resonated with me. It reminded me a lot of my favorite films growing up, and it doesn't feel like a lot of those movies are being made today.
Yeah, I think so, because in terms of scale, it's a very personal movie, and I would definitely agree with you that there is a lot of sincerity and verisimilitude in terms of this is kind of what contemporary dating is like, in good and bad. And what was interesting to me is that it doesn't really pull any punches. Like, it doesn't try and it deals with the darkness of that kind of thing as well. If you'll permit me to quote, there was a line that Miles Teller delivered as Alec, where he said that being single isn't a party. It's a bunch of people in a dark room texting. Was it important to you to have that, both sides of that in the movie?
Yeah, it was. In that, finding there's a lot of exciting things about the sort of whatever quest you're on. Whether you want a fun girlfriend or boyfriend for a summer, or you're looking for someone to get married and have kids with, or you're hoping just to hook up for a night. That none of those quests or journeys, if you will, necessarily come without a few, either emotional or physical bumps and bruises along the way. And I feel like that the real version of what that looks like and feels like and sounds like, I don't see it in film as often as I'd like to. And I was really psyched that sort of Mark wrote it the way it is as far as I'm concerned. And I was like, man, yeah, we got to make sure to get that all in there. Yeah, I mean, it's thrilling to meet someone that you think might go somewhere, but you stub each other's emotional toes along the way, and then there's parts of it that can be a little terrifying too.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's true for everybody, regardless of age. Could I ask, so there are certain...
Exactly. No, I mean, I think that young people who are theoretically a little more justified, or that we forgive them not having quite figured out how to do this all that smoothly or all that well, are sort of the most obvious illustration of some of those sort of universal confusions that we all have, and it can take a very long time to get right. I just think you're a little more forgiving when the characters in question are in their early 20s and haven't figured this out yet than you would be if they were 35.
Gotcha. When, you're supposed to have ironed out the kinks in your personality by then. You're supposed to have figured this stuff out.
Exactly, although I don't know if I've actually met anyone of whom that's true, but that is theoretically what you're supposed to do.
That is the theory. And what's interesting is it's a very generational movie. I mean, I think that this generation comes under a lot of critique in a lot of ways for being aimless or directionless, and the movie certainly meditates on that. Was that something you were conscious of when you were filming?
Yeah, I mean, I think it certainly was. I think that whatever is different from one generation to the next will be a source of friction between them, and sometimes. And often, those differences are simultaneously steps in the right, what might be considered the right direction. They come wrapped part and parcel with steps that might be considered in the wrong direction. I think that, it's real easy to look at the last few generations of adults who, and their relationship to conventionally defined ambition or accomplishment, and have a hard time reconciling that with the world we live in today and the actual opportunities that are in front of people in their 20s. I don't in any way fault Megan or Alec for some of the questions they ask or some of the things they don't quite buy into. And they're young enough that I think it makes a lot of sense that they're questioning, but they haven't quite provided their own answers yet.
Yeah, I think that makes sense to me. So there are certain expectations when it comes to romantic comedies in terms of plot and structure, in terms of endings. Is that something that was difficult for you, or is that something that you had been aware of previously?
I mean, I think that to whatever degree a film, falls within a specific genre, that the nature of genre to begin with isn't necessarily what you're doing, but how you do it. Mm-hmm. There are amazing war movies and terrible war movies, and they both sort of follow the similar roadmap. It's true of any genre. So one of the things I loved most about Mark's script was that yes, it was in a way that was not too linking. It was conscious of genre and conscious of some of the conventions of romantic comedies, and that in places it played right into it in what I consider to be smart, fresh, inventive ways, and then in other ways it has a little fun, taking the piss out of some of those conventions in a way that I found really satisfying.
Yeah, lampshading it. Yeah, I think I would agree. And one quite original thing that I found with the movie, which I didn't realize going in, but it's very obvious from just the opening shot and scenes, it's told essentially from a female perspective, from Megan's. And was that something... That was something that was just quite fresh and almost surprising, I think, coming from, movies nowadays written by a guy and directed by a guy.
Yeah, I mean that was definitely one of the things that I found really compelling was that Megan, even from my first read, reminded me of some of my closest female friends, smart, funny, sarcastic, but also that both Megan and Alec both receive a sort of warts and all handling it within the story was really refreshing to me. I was like, man, this reminds me of the people I actually know, and yes, particularly the super fun, cool young women that I know who don't necessarily. Yeah, I mean that pretty much says it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I kind of feel bad now for anyone who gets to see this movie and then has to be compared with Miles Teller and Annalise Tipton being incredibly funny and attractive. I'm going to have to safeguard certain people from the film, I'm sure. Can I ask, what was it like? How lucky did you feel seeing and getting to have their chemistry recorded on film? Because it can so often go wrong with romantic comedies.
No, that's really true, and I'm thrilled to hear you say that. I mean, it was one of those things where, as you point out, it really is true. I mean, obviously, it's a story very much about both of them, but to whatever extent it's primarily about one versus the other, it is maybe a little bit more Megan's story. So that it felt very important to me to find Megan first. And of all the wonderful qualities that character has, the most elusive one, I think, is the degree to which Alec feels, man, I've never met a girl like this before, and if I let her get away, I'm never going to meet another one. And there are a lot of wonderful people in the world, but not necessarily ones that you feel, God, I've never met anyone like this before, where that singular, that distinct. And when I first met Annalise, that's exactly how I felt about her. I said, man, I've never met anyone like this before. She's so singular. She's so distinct. So she immediately just leapt out at me and was like, God, this is our Megan. And then the first time Annalie and Miles were in a room together, it was, you know, it was nice. It was one of those things where it was pretty much just, you know, night and day, black and white. It was like, oh, this is the pairing. This is the fireworks. And that was just them like talking and hanging out together. When they actually got into character and were there in the environment, I mean, to be honest, especially as a first-time feature director, I was pretty taken aback by the degree to which it really felt as though those characters had left immediately, like directly out of my brain, how I'd imagined them. It was a pretty stunning experience.
There are so many like artists and directors listening to you right now who must just hate you. They must just be like, oh, that didn't work out that way for me. Can I ask, I heard that there was a kind of strangely coincidental situation on set. Is it true that your filming was affected by Hurricane Sandy?
Yes, it was. God, I mean, it is, you know, just like almost a too hilarious art imitating life, imitating art situation where, yeah, here we were making this movie about New York City getting hammered by a natural disaster, and that's exactly what happened while we were making the movie. You know, the Sandy came in, flooded and crippled a huge section of New York. Our production had to go down for a couple days. Even when we were back up, you know, the public transportation was down. It was a real problem with cast and crew getting to set. Our cast, Miles and Annalie, were actually staying in part of the city that was completely without power for a week. Wow. And that they were sitting there, you know, in rooms down the hall from each other, like candlelight with no TV or internet or anything. Basically forced to be hilarious and charming with one another, just the way Megan and Alex were. You know, as a director, I certainly couldn't have asked for more in terms of keeping our cast in the zone.
Yeah, I mean, amazing. And so, as a first-time feature director, is there anything that you'd like go back and do differently, or is there any lessons that you learned that you want to keep in mind moving forward? God, I mean, you know, the lessons I will keep in mind going forward is I will be very, very careful anytime the words snow or ping pong appear in a script that I read. But other than that, I will say that I'm incredibly fortunate to, especially on my first time out, to be able to say, you know, I am so happy with the way the film turned out and feel like it's totally representative, does justice to, I hope Mark Hammer agrees, does justice to this fantastic script, and, you know, feels like a great representation of my taste and my aesthetic and the kind of films I hope to keep making. That's awesome. I'm sorry, I have to ask. I understand why snow is a warning word, but why ping pong? Why is that an issue you're going to...
Yeah, well, you know, because being able to recreate the continuity of a ping pong match with a real live ping pong ball and paddles and two actors, although very, you know, in the real world terms, very talented at ping pong and certainly very game, you know, fall a little bit short of being able to recreate the exact same hit, serve, volley, bounce every time, and trying to go in and match that in the edit. Let's say it made for a unique challenge.
Wow, the things that you learned. From now on, CGI ping pong balls only. Gotcha. So I guess the last question I have for you is, what will be next? I mean, the movie comes out on the 26th, Friday, but what's next for you?
It does, yeah. Well, you know, what's interesting to me is like coming to directing this feature from a music video background. You know, I'm used to hearing a song and then a week later being, you know, writing up my concept for it, and a week later being on set shooting, and 2 weeks after that having it be on the air, and just doing that over and over ad nauseum over the course of a year. So, for me to spend 2 years making this movie was thrilling and an amazing opportunity, but it also feels like, for me, a very long time spent doing one thing. So I'm kind of thrilled to be back in music video world right now, you know, knocking out a bunch of little short ones for a while I wait for something as special as 2 Nights Stand to come along again.
Okay,
Fingers
gotcha.
crossed.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping. I don't know whether I want you to try new stuff or do the thing that I like that you do again and again. But that's pretty great. I'm glad that it worked out for you.
I should be so lucky. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, to be honest, that's everything that I wanted to talk to you about. Unless you have any horrifying gossip or stories, then I'm pretty sure that's everything.
No, I think I really enjoyed the chat, man. Thanks so much.
No worries. Thank you very much. And we can find you on the social mediums, maybe a dating site nearby or Twitter or something.
Yeah, just find me on Tinder.
Oh, good.
With a photo of me and my wife and my twins.
Well, that works out. Certainly, we'll swipe right. Okay, well, as I said, the movie comes out on the 26th. Thank you, Max Nichols.
Yeah, thanks so much.
All right, have a great day.
Sounds like a very nice guy.
Yeah. Super nice.
Yeah.
Completely down to earth.
Absolutely. So, do you want to expand then on description, just for listeners?
Indeed. So essentially, young Annalay Tipton playing Megan. You remember Annalay Tipton from Crazy Stupid Love, where she played the romantic babysitter.
Yeah.
Well, she and she was in Hung, actually, season 3 as well. So her character is after going through a bad breakup and is trying to motivate herself to do something in her life. And in this case, the thing that she wants to do is a penis. So through some online dating, she ends up hooking up with a fellow. And after things go awkwardly wrong, they are snowed in together and must get to know each other over the course of X amount of time.
Yeah. So what do you think of this, Mike?
Well, initially I thought, Jesus, just another rom-com.
Yeah.
But, excuse me, it's actually quite good. I kind of said, right, I'll give this a little bit of leeway.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I started laughing.
Yeah.
There was an awful lot of very quick one-liners.
Yeah.
Just throwaway lines. I was like, did he really fucking say that?
Yeah.
You know?
But even, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but just to discuss it with you, you know. Even where, they're online, using their Cupid OK clone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I love the lines that are thrown back and forth there.
Some of that was really funny.
Yeah. And, even small things, like not necessarily the dialogue as we went through the movie, which was very funny in places, but there's things like, the weather reporter on the TV, they had as Apocalypse Snow.
Yeah.
You know, what was his name? Rick Raines?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's small things like that, which
it was kind of like a Sharknado tribute, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I was just waiting for a Snownado.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, small things like that really, really helped to make it. And really turned it into, a comedy.
Yeah.
And due to that then, you don't tend to take it too seriously, and the bits that aren't quite as believable, you let it slide, and you're more into the story with them. You're with them.
Yeah.
I think that's the main thing.
Your man, the main guy, what was his name?
Miles Teller. He plays Alec.
He was in Divergent, was he not?
I think so.
Yeah.
And I didn't really rate him at all in that. And now looking back at this movie, I think it's largely because of the hand he was dealt with the script.
Right. Yeah.
He was a lot more expressive and certainly a hell of a lot more funny in this. So I was forced to review my opinion of him as somebody to watch on screen. It reminded me a little bit of John Cusack. I don't know why, but just the facial expressions or whatever. But good job on his part.
Yeah.
I agree. The last we saw him was in That Awkward Moment, where he played a somewhat similar circumstance, or at least in the same genre. We thought he was funny in that, but in this, I think he was funny, and I believed him. I thought that there was a lot of verisimilitude. There was a lot of stuff in this where I just went, yes, I have either been in a situation like that or know people who have been in situations like that. But I just thought the dialogue managed to pull that off in a way that is very tough. because I don't think this movie was written by a 20-something, who's in the dating pool in the exact same circumstance. So it's, I find it very impressive, and I agree with, in terms of the computer online dating, all of that stuff could have come off as so tart and like, people don't talk like that to each other.
Yeah.
But online and a little bit in real life, people really do. So I was hooked from get-go. Like, it tried to do more than I think most romantic comedies try to do.
Yeah. There was also some quite poignant parts to it that they managed to pull off too. And there was one classic line actually where the main lead is he's talking to what's her character's name again? Megan. Sorry, he's talking to Megan about her ex-boyfriend, and he has one line in it, and he says, he has no idea how rare you are. Now, that could have been very cliched, but it carried well, and it was just set up perfectly. And I think it really made that scene, but it also showed that it could be a dramedy as well, in the middle,
It was because of the actors, right?
Yeah.
Because we believed that about Megan because of how she had been portrayed in the film. And Alec, Miles Teller, was able to say that without us going, ugh. Yeah. Like, that's horrible.
Exactly.
You can't say that.
Yeah.
So it was amazing that they got away with that.
Yeah. I'm also delighted that they didn't make this into a movie about two rich folks too busy for career, due to their career singles type movie, which they very easily could have. Yeah, and they're not quite life has left them buyers either. They're only just starting out really, so.
And they're making mistakes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's great. Yeah.
It's quite a difficult and risky movie because you're relying totally on the two leads, and more or less on one location for the guts of the movie.
Yeah.
So if either the script or the actors don't work, you're just a disaster.
Yeah, and that's a very good point because it's quite it's not claustrophobic, but it's a small area, and they don't have those massive apartments that you see in Hollywood, New York.
Yeah.
It's a normal apartment for the most part. So
and you don't have interesting neighbors dropping in every 5 minutes to break it up.
I really enjoyed this. I wasn't expecting to, but yeah.
Ooh. And another point as well is one of the things, and this is another thing that just drops in because this is the kind of stuff people talk about, whether it's on a date or on that night.
Yeah.
Where you have that night with the person. And there's just a really throwaway thing where Miles Teller, they're talking about jobs, and he just goes, "Since when are you supposed to like your job?"
Yeah.
It's just this really small thing that everyone, I think, has wormed its way into the social subconscious. So now that's just what we believe. But someone goes, "No, hold on.
Yeah.
You get paid for that shit. Why do you think you get paid?"
They do that a few times. They question assumptions and
it's good stuff.
One thing I will say though is they did the hard part very well, and then I think they dropped the ball in the last segment when they get out of the apartment. I thought that was kind of contrived and kind of weak, and I didn't find myself buying that whole part of the movie. So that was kind of disappointing for me because the first 2/3 have been so strong.
Fair enough comment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Don't agree with you, but
no.
fair enough.
No, okay. Fair enough.
No. The reason I don't agree with you is, like I said earlier, that you're behind them and you let things slide.
Okay.
Now, had it been a more serious movie, that would have been an issue for me.
Right.
But at that stage, it's wrapping up time.
Yeah.
Right. But I think as a romantic comedy, I think it finished quite well.
Well, you see, as a romantic comedy, like, you have to have your two characters, boy meets girl. There's going to be a problem, which is going to stop them getting together, and it should be a really insurmountable problem.
Yeah.
To increase the drama, and when they get together at the end, you go, "Oh, isn't that great? The universe went against them and they won."
Yeah.
But the problem was pretty small, and it didn't take a whole lot to get around it, and the getting around relied heavily on fairly unbelievable circumstances.
Okay, yeah.
I was actually I was surprised that I thought I was with you or understood what you were talking about, but then you went a different way, Mike. I actually thought that the problem was really big and interesting, and I did not expect it.
Really?
Like the reveal of the problem, I was like, "What the shit is going on here?"
Yeah.
I had to wait for the characters to talk about it because I didn't know what was happening. So I don't know, but I think again it comes down to Steve's point, right? You want them to be together. Mm-hmm. If the movie is doing its job, right? A romantic comedy, you're going to want them to end up together. And I think that has always been an endemic part of it, And people have, I think for a long time, especially in the early 2000s, and partly due to Matthew McConaughey, people started to get away with more and more because everyone was like, well, you want them to be together, so it's fine. Yeah. And now everyone's like sick of that shit, and everyone's seen it a million times. So everyone's filter is a lot more like refined and cynical. Not saying that yours is any more refined or cynical, Mike. So I don't know. I didn't have the problem with the ending, probably just because of how I felt about the characters and the structure.
Also wanted to give special mention to the supporting actors. I thought they were very well cast. And very funny.
And used just enough.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So, one other thing I want to say was the score. Do you remember there's a dancey around bit? It's actually in the trailer. Yeah. Which is Dramarama's Anything. Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Hadn't heard it in years. Mm-hmm. It's great.
I mean,
did you feel like dancing yourself, Steve?
I did. Barely restrained.
Just have a little dance.
Yeah.
I actually blame Max Nichols a lot because I think I'm in love now with Annalay Tipton, and that's going to be a problem for me going forward in life. So I'm going through withdrawal. So if we could just find some more stuff by her to review, that'd be great. Yeah.
Awesome.
Does she live close enough to you for it to be a legal problem, or?
Okay, Mike.
I could give you some pointers.
No, Mike, leave it. Mike, just give us a mark, okay? Give us a mark.
I did really like the large part of this movie. I felt a bit let down by the ending, so I can't go beyond a 6 for it.
Okay. I'm going to give this a very strong 7. But had we been marking this in the genre of romantic comedies only, rather than all genres, it would have got a very strong 8. But strong 7, anyway. Shaun?
Yeah, Steve, I completely agree with you. Like, I'm somewhere in the middle between 7 and 8. So, I'll give it a 7 just to keep myself honest. But I haven't seen a better romantic comedy so far this year.
In years, even. Yeah.
Ooh. It's a big claim.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, wait, before we move on.
Oh, yeah.
If you're listening to this podcast, the day it comes out, Friday the 26th, 2-Nightstand has literally just come out in theaters, and it'll be out on video on demand about a week after. So go see the movie.
Fantastic. Okay. So next up, we have the first of our TV, which is Gotham. Now, who would have put this on the list?
I can't imagine how this
Mike,
got on the list.
Did you put it on the list, Mike? Was that you? Was that your choice and decision?
Yeah, mea culpa, Shaun. Yeah, I just can't help myself.
Would you like me to summarize what Gotham is about?
I'm sure shit, I'm not going to do it.
So Gotham tells the story of young detective James Gordon, starting out in the Gotham Homicide Police Department division. And there's a big crime that's just gone down in Gotham City, the murder of Martha and Thomas Wayne. He makes a pledge to their young son Bruce that he will find their killer, and then is thrown into a realm of corruption and mobs and moral ambiguity. Much like the Gotham skyline, things are darker than perhaps you would like them to be. Gotham.
Yes.
It's a pretty good synopsis.
What do you think of this, Mark?
So they have a formula now for TV shows from DC, and that's to do the origin and to do it really slowly. So it reminded me a lot of Smallville thematically. It's a different TV show, for sure. But it did remind me of the way they tackled the Batman character and then the way they did tackle Superman, right? So it feels to me like they're hedging their bets, right? So this is meant to be about Commissioner Gordon. But they've put in the orphaned Bruce Wayne fairly prominently. So if the audience starts to say, Commissioner Gordon is boring, I don't care that he was in the OC, then they can switch and they can start featuring more of Bruce Wayne in the action if they need to. The young Bruce Wayne in the action if they need to. Because he's not a kid. He's older, this Bruce Wayne, than I've seen in other Batman origin stories. Maybe that's just the actor they chose, but he seems actually to be close to a teenager, whereas in my head he was always like younger than 12 when that incident happened. You can't see it at home, but Shaun is nodding, so I'm probably on the right track there. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. OC guy, Shaun, he played
Benjamin
Seth in the
McKenzie.
OC. Thank you,
played
Benjamin
Ryan
McKenzie.
in the OC.
Sorry, he played Ryan. Seth was his friend. I never watched the OC, much to my chagrin. I thought he was good. He didn't remind me of his OC character. Like, I saw a couple episodes because it was fairly ubiquitous back a few years ago. I thought he was doing a pretty bang-up job of being Commissioner Gordon. One thing I noticed is it was deliberately lit better than any Batman movie. It was almost like they're telling us that Gotham is not as dark as it's going to be. And then they immediately start introducing a slew of characters from Batman Begins, which I quite liked. The crime lord who's in the middle of a turf war is the main, and well, he's not the main antagonist, but he's one of the chief antagonists in the Batman Begins movie. And there's other characters. Some of them are worth finding out as you watch the show. So I'm not going to go through all of them, but I found it nice that was the universe they picked to tie into. I think that's the right one for my view, and it makes sense for DC because that was their most successful end-to-end Batman franchise yet. So I really liked it. I think it was clever. They left themselves a lot of room to maneuver, depending on how it's received by the audience, and I think it could be around for a while.
Yeah, I was like my heart sank a little bit when I saw this on the list, as it frequently does when I see anything superhero related. So I was a little bit surprised to see that there weren't any superheroes in it, which was actually great.
What did you think of the little girl that did parkour?
Yeah,
I thought that would have put the right off.
It did.
She likes cats, though.
It did.
Who would she be?
I can't imagine. I was watching her and thinking, you'd probably be more stealthy and, less observable by the general public if you stopped jumping on stuff and just walked around with your hood up, But Commissioner Gordon I thought was good. As a Commissioner Detective Gordon, as a kind of a standard cop action hero lead type guy,
young looking Russell Crowe kind of a guy.
Yeah. So he was inoffensive in that regard, and he didn't have any special powers that I could discern. So that was good. The underpants were on the inside. It was all fine. Even I, who try and avoid superhero lore as much as possible, noticed nods to all kind of characters who will be important later on.
Yeah.
So I'm sure the Gotham geeks among you will be frantically enjoying yourselves when that comes on screen. But as a show, it was okay. But I didn't see anything in it that really made me want to come back and watch more.
So it was as good as could be expected, is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Like, I was expecting complete and utter drivel.
Yeah.
And I got okay. So I was quite happy with that.
Yeah. I kind of went into this with a bit of trepidation as well. But I thought it was well executed, and I kind of enjoyed it, and I'll probably watch more.
Did you enjoy it in a sort of a Z Nation kind of a way, or
no? It was actually
you have to have a shower after watching it.
It Write myself out of my own will. Yeah, yeah, I'll probably watch more of this. I thought it was well done. It portrayed Gotham as I envisioned Gotham, always raining, and dark and sort of filthy. Yeah. But I like that it's showing a bit of corruption in the police force as well earlier on. You know, so yeah, I think I'll watch more of this. Yeah, Shaun.
At its heart, Gotham is really just a stylized cop show.
Oh yeah.
So the things that you're going to worry about are what style does it have? How good are they at like producing something? And is it in any way interesting? Do the cop parts of it get you? And for me, it's a yes to both. Like you said with the corruption, in terms of the cop stuff, I did not expect the vast amount of corruption that's in it. And it made me go, this is going to be really fucking complicated. Our main character's goal has many obstacles, and that's a fucking good thing. And in terms of style, it's pretty like there's even an interrogation montage, and all it is lighting. That they use lighting and music, and boom, you're there. And I was just like, yeah, perfect. I don't need to hear any of this shit. Yeah. Let's keep going. Let's like zip along. And I really enjoyed that. I even think that establishing shots are boring almost always to me in movies and in television. But when it's Gotham, I'm like, this is class. I love how spiky these buildings are. Look at the gargoyles. There's even a scene in the graveyard where you can see all these tombstones. And it blends seamlessly into the spires of the skyscrapers. And I was like, fucking cool. Good job, whoever does the CG in the background of this shot. Mark.
Did you recognize an old friend of ours, Shaun?
A building or?
From the 2007 show Life.
Oh, Donal Logue. I did indeed, playing Detective Harvey Bullock, but without sounding quite as cartoonish as he did in the cartoon. I thought he was great. I would watch him, like, whether it's Grounded for Life or Life itself or Gotham, I'd watch him whatever he's at. He just has a way of being a dickhead that I can get behind. Like, that works for me.
They brought him into season 2 of Life, and he really put a lot of excellent energy into the show. Like, not that it was a bad show to begin with, it was really good. But if you haven't seen Life, you should check it out. Me and Shaun are huge fans.
Mm-hmm. It's Damian Lewis's best show. Yeah, I said it. So Gotham, I think that everything they wanted to do, they did well. Mark's comment is quite interesting about the young Bruce Wayne, because the showrunners said they did not want to have a kid be involved in their cop show any more than they needed it. And then this kid auditioned, and he was a bit older than what they were thinking. And he was good at acting, in their opinion. So they went, shit, I kind of want him to be in the show every now and then now. So I don't know. If it's me, I'm only putting him in. I'll give him one episode completely to himself per season. And then I wouldn't really touch him, besides a few B-plots and overall mythos stuff. I don't want to check in with him every week.
I think it'll depend on the reactions. You know, these big network shows, they spin their plot a lot of the time in the directions that crowd reaction lead them, which is a terrible, terrible way to write, as I'm sure you agree, Shaun. But they've put him in there so prominently now. They can do that if they want. If it needs to become some kind of occasional montage where Bruce tries something that Batman does, then, you know, they can do that now if they want. Yeah. But I don't think they should. I think you said it quite well about it being a detective show, but one set in Gotham. They should lean hard into that and make that be the focus.
And thankfully, they have a supporting cast that can do that. Like, the last two things I'll say about it was, whenever one of these perhaps going to be a villain sometime soon guys would show up, I was interested specifically in a character that they just out and out refer to as Penguin. I was like, this guy is acting in a way that makes me a little creeped out. Like, I don't like this. You know, I'm sure Mike appreciated his actually fucked up teeth. And overall, it was just meaner than I thought it would be. Like, there's some moments where I'm just like, what are you doing? Kids are probably watching this right now. You can't just go do that to random person and then expect that to be okay for kids. But anyway, I appreciated that. The meaner, the better.
Yeah, so where do you think they're going to go with this? Do you think there'll be a new classic bad guy every week, or?
No, I think that the mob is the overall bad guy, right? The mob and the corruption in the police force. So I think it's going to be the major crimes people we were introduced to, led by Montoya, versus Donal versus Bullock being super fucking corrupt and everyone wanting to catch him, and just where Gordon ends up in those moral debates is going to be a big ongoing thing, and it might end up being case of the week. It looks like it probably will end up being case of the week, so I'm guessing that is going to be the way they introduce more and more of the tapestry of the characters. So I don't know yet who the main antagonist is going to be, but I wouldn't be surprised if Carmine Falcone ended up getting his before the end of the season.
Yeah. What do you call it? The actor that stood out most for me in this was Penguin, Robin Lord Taylor. Yeah, thought he was excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hope we see lots of them, actually.
Yeah, it looks like we will, which is not something I expected to ever say about a Gotham TV show. The Penguin's the best part of this.
Yeah.
I know. I never contemplated it.
So you may have guessed from that comment that I'm probably going to give this Thriller, as I will watch another episode of this. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Shaun?
Oh, Thriller for me, definitely. I'm in for life, unfortunately. Or for
Mark?
It's Thriller for me, Steve. I really enjoyed it. Looking forward to seeing some more.
Mike?
Yeah, I can see all the Batman fanboys loving this, and if you're into it, go for it, but it's not really my kind of thing, either superheroes or cops, really. So I'm going to filler this.
Mike, if we didn't let you know that it was called Gotham, and we cut out all the bits with Bruce Wayne, and where someone jumps up on a building conspicuously, you would have thought, yeah, it's a pretty good TV show. I like the detective and crime. I'm interested to see where this is going to go.
Yeah, it's a pretty good 7-minute TV show.
I think that's unfair. It'll be a lot longer than that. But you obviously, before you're getting ready to watch this show, you're sitting there with your TV turned off, looking at your own reflection in the glass, going, I hate superheroes. I hate superheroes. Then you go, right, I'm ready, and you turned it on. Where are you, superheroes? I'm ready to hate you now. And I don't understand, because all superheroes try and do is make the world a better place.
So, Mike doesn't like this, yeah. So, I'm shocked.
I feel kind of sad now because Mark has deconstructed me.
Yeah. I still can't get over it. Shocked is when I found out my toaster wasn't waterproof. Anyway,
wow.
Moving on. Let me see. So next up, we're going to talk about the second of our TV, which was Forever. Mike, I believe you're responsible for this.
Yes, Forever is just started on Sky. It stars Dr. Henry Morgan as a chap who somehow can't die. And he's been around for a hell of a long time, since the era of pirate ships and gold. And like all immortals, he's managed to find himself in the center of everything interesting that's happened in the last 200 years.
Yeah.
And now he's in New York City, plying his trade as a forensic specialist, dead people specialist. And
mortician, I think, is the word you're looking for.
Mortician, that's what it is.
Medical examiner.
Dead
Medical
people specialist,
examiner.
Yep.
And I suppose he's something of an expert on dead things at this stage. And he finds himself involved in a train crash where lots of people die, strangely enough, except for him. And I can't imagine where it would go from there.
So, this really reminded me of Elementary. Not just for the fact that there's a guy with an English accent in New York, but also due to he does a lot of deducing without assumption, but with reason. And he's very, very good at it because he's been alive for so long. And he's been in these situations many, many, many times before, apparently.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Do you think he's maybe a little bored?
Seen
a little too much?
Maybe a little bored, yeah. Maybe has someone looking for him.
Yeah.
Inexplicably. So,
it'd be really nice if he had somebody to talk to, somebody, who knew his secret,
who's in
that
on
he
the
could,
secret.
he could rely on to back him up. That'd be really handy.
Yeah. So,
preferably somebody with a really sad story.
So this was like Elementary. It was fun. Wouldn't take it seriously, obviously, when you know the premises, but yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
What do you think of this, Shaun?
The sound also reminded me of Elementary, now that I think about it. Like, I agree with you on all those points. Ioan Gruffudd, not as good of an actor, in my opinion, as Johnny Lee Miller, but, like, equally as British sounding.
Yes.
Even though, Johnny Lee Miller isn't. But what I thought was interesting about it was that it wasn't super fucking serious. Like, I almost expected it to be this, like, Dorian Gray or like where I was just like, oh, really? I don't give a shit. But it's almost like he's having fun with it.
Yeah.
It's super lonely. Like, I mean, that's obvious, and there are nods to that throughout. But I like that he doesn't treat it with this like morose demeanor, because it's way more fun for us, right?
Yeah.
Because at our hearts, we're all interested in, eternal life, being young all the time. That'd be fucking class. I think that unfortunately the plot of this pilot episode is directly lifted from M. Night Shyamalan's 2002 film, Unbreakable. And that's stupid. That was a bad call that could have been avoided really easily. Either someone missed that and no one wanted to say it to him, or he was like, oh, easy. And then insert. However, I found myself gravitating towards the usually not that interesting Ioan Gruffudd. Like, there's a detective, and you're like, is he actually going to start investigating shit? And then of course, he starts investigating shit. Yeah. And you're like, okay, fine, whatever. And he's got like a weird dad character, or is it actually like in any way that relationship? That's a bit weird. I don't know. It managed to keep me entertained for that amount of minutes that it was on. And yet, for the life of me, I can't point out specific events that made me go, oh, that's class. I was just like, do. Yeah. This is inoffensive, and my mouth feels happy.
Was it a bit of a caper?
You know what? It might have just been a bit of a caper.
Yeah. Mark.
Yeah, I kind of like this too, Steve. Shaun said a lot of what needs to be said about the show. I think inoffensive is a very good description. It does have the potential for tremendous heartbreak. And that is a recipe for getting girls to watch stuff, as we all know. So I watched this with my wife, and she seemed to enjoy it, and we're probably going to watch a couple more, we reckon, and see how it develops. But in terms of how Mr. Fantastic does as an immortal detective, I thought he was pretty good. I'm surprised Mike hasn't already given out about superheroes getting jobs as detectives / morticians, but I'm sure he'll have a chance in a minute.
Is it just me, or do you not think this would have been a much better show if he had a sort of a dodgy Scottish accent, drank Glenmorangie, and he was pretty handy with a sword? And maybe if there was a guy called Kurgan running around the city chopping people's heads off.
Yeah, and he just wanted to be one of a kind.
Yeah.
I used to watch that TV show, I used to watch the Highlander TV show pretty religiously once upon a time. But no, I liked it, Steve. It's formulaic. There's going to be a murder of the week that he needs to solve.
Yeah.
Every week we'll get a few flashbacks, a few flash sideways about how it sucks to be immortal. He'll have his heart broken a few times. Seems like it's all good stuff to me.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to go and get the Highlander movies out on DVD.
You didn't think this was as up to the standard of Highlander?
No.
I have never heard of that being used as a measuring stick in my life.
You're just not old enough, Shaun. Wait till you've been around for 250 years.
You're going to watch more?
No, not a chance.
You're not?
No.
Really? I kind of like this, and in lieu of Elementary being on the missing list at the moment, I think this will substitute quite nicely. So it's a thriller for me.
It's going to be really interesting to see what happens when all the shows that you actually like come back, and you don't have to watch Z Nation and this one over and over again. I think this is entertaining, and I might indeed watch another episode of it. Forever gets a fairly solid thumbs up for me. It's thriller.
Mark.
Yeah, it's a thriller for me too. I think you can watch this with your better half, and everyone will be happy after.
Very good.
Yeah. Unless you come back season after season season telling me, "Oh, this is better than Breaking Bad." I'm not going to watch any more of this.
Have you seen Breaking Bad?
Yeah.
No.
That's how it should work, Mike, right? Unless you can make a show that's one of the top 10 TV shows of all time, let's not fucking bother. Let's just not bother making any TV shows that might fulfill holes in people's schedules or hearts. Let's only make that one show over and over again.
Okay. So after that shocker, let's talk about... actually, I saw a movie during the week that I forgot to mention at the start. It's called Two Faces January. Mm-hmm. And it stars Viggo Mortensen, Kirsten Dunst, and Oscar Isaac, who we last saw on Llewyn Davis.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that? Yeah. So it's about two Americans, rich Americans, apparently, on holidays.
Is there any other kind?
In 1964, I believe, they're in Athens, and they bump into a Greek-speaking American who's there at the time working as a tourist guide / conman, petty conman.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like, let me change those dollars into drachmas for you. Yeah, that's 2,500 drachmas. Yeah, that's $150 there. You know, that kind of way. So they befriend each other, and they go out on a double date, and while after they drop off Viggo and Kirsten back to their hotel, he's on the way back in a taxi, finds a wristband that she'd left behind, so he returns, and after a bit of a delay, he managed to make his way up to, there's no answer on their phone.
Okay.
Makes his way up to towards their room and reaches the corridor and sees Viggo carrying an unconscious man through the corridor out of his room, right? So it kind of kicks off from there. So you sort of immediately get the feeling things aren't all quite as it seems with these vacationers. So there's a bit of a chase across Athens, and Oscar does a bit of interpreting. And
so is this an ouzo-filled splatterfest?
Yeah, there's a bit of that, and Kirsten sort of has eyes for him, and that kind of way. And so things get really interesting. I won't say any more on it, but I will say that I would give it a 6.
Okay.
And if you have a rainy Sunday and you need something to watch, this is pretty good. You couldn't go far wrong with it.
Right.
Yeah. Oscar Isaac was excellent in it.
So if Shauna runs out of WWE reruns, she should watch this.
Yes, exactly. Shauna, if you're listening, this is one for you. Yeah. If she's listening, of course she is. Okay. So next up, we have the second of our movies, which is Walk Among the Tombstones. Mark.
Private investigator Matthew Scudder is hired by a drug kingpin to find out who kidnapped and murdered his wife. In this film, Liam Neeson has no special skills.
Shit, what's he going to do?
I'll tell you what he does. He does by-the-numbers detective work and puts in the hours to get results.
Wow.
Now, you might think that makes for an exciting movie. But no, that's not where the excitement comes from at all, actually. The detective work is interesting, slightly distracting. But all of the good parts of this film come from the character interplay. I mentioned that this had a cinema score of a B-. I think that was a bit harsh, and I'm wondering if people going in were expecting a typical Taken movie, which this isn't.
Yeah.
Stylistically, it reminded me viscerally of Seven.
Oh.
Okay. There's a whole lot of pathetic fallacy going on in the movie, which leads to a lot of rain when times are tough.
Yeah.
The fallacy isn't actually with Neeson, which surprised me and I found very interesting. It's a different character, so there's something for you people listening at home to figure out for yourselves when you watch the film. And it's really interesting. If I tell you who it's all about, then there's a potential spoiler. So I carefully considered that and I'm leaving it out. Neeson's good in it. He's playing... vulnerable is not the right word because he's such a big, imposing actor. He's never vulnerable as such, but he doesn't seem indestructible in any way. Like, this is not a Taken film at all. He seems in peril for a lot of the film, and they do a really good job of generating tension and maintaining it beyond when you'd probably just get bored with being tense and going, nothing's going to happen, it'll be fine. Like, I genuinely worried about Scudder a lot of times during this And and I was watching it with Michelle, as I do many things, and she grabbed me a couple of times going, you know, is it going to be okay? I don't know. I just don't know. So really good tension, really good character interplay. Neeson's character is extremely interesting. They play out his story arc across the full length of the film very effectively. So it's so dark, right? And you've got rain and bad things happening to people that they had to put in a tiny, tiny element of comedy just as a tension reliever. Because literally, whenever Neeson is out on the job, it feels like he's in serious danger. So you just get tired from all that. So they stick in, and I'm looking for his name here because he was a really good addition to the film, and I'm not seeing it. Okay, there was a young kid, a street urchin that Neeson befriends, and it gives Neeson's character a bit of empathy, which was no harm in the early goings. You learn all about his empathy as the film progresses and his character develops. But it was good to have this guy. So he would appear randomly from time to time and break the tension, and you'd have an old chuckle. And then when the time was right, they used him as a device for generating tension as well, which is also very good. So look, if you want something to keep you on the edge of your seat and don't mind a bit of darkness and dark subject matter. Oh, sorry. The other thing that it reminded me of was The Killing. Oh. It's very like The Killing as well, the tone of that. Not the subject matter, just the way they deal with it, and people are sad and morose, and there's a whole lot of regret, and everybody's guilty. Everybody's got something to be guilty about. It was just very like The Killing in that way.
So is it more actiony or more emotional when you're looking at it?
It probably comes more on the character side than it does on the action side. There's plenty of action there. Like, if you need action to keep you interested, which I often do, this film won't let you down. But there is a lot of people talking. And I think they do that really well. I keep saying the interplay was good. The interplay was really good between the characters. I think it was a well-written film. So for me, it's going to be a good bit above average because I really enjoyed it, and it's a 7.
Wow. Cool. So next up, we have some previews in Coming to a Bicycle near you. So the first one we looked at is Kingsman, The Secret Service.
Again?
Yes, we did look at this before, but I thought it was worth looking at again.
It kind of is, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Especially this trailer. I saw this trailer and I thought, yeah, we should look at this. And I'm even more enthusiastic about this.
Yeah, I'm fucking dying to see this.
Who is it? Is it Colin Firth?
Yeah, Colin Firth.
Yeah, he's rocking on this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that kind of thing. Yeah, I'll just saunter over here and be so cool, and then he whips out the specials, the superpower. Well, not quite superpowers, but his secret detective or secret service superpowers.
Things.
Yeah. I thought you'd like this, all right.
Mm-hmm.
Looking forward to it.
Absolutely.
I think it's out next year, actually.
Oh, do we have to wait that long?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm afraid so. Yeah.
God damn it.
Yeah. Did you see this, Mark?
I did. I'm really looking forward to seeing this movie. It's ridiculous, but it looks like such good fun. Yeah. I think it's well worth the watch.
Second we watched was Big Eyes.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
Based on a true story.
I'm with Mike. I could care less how true the story is that's behind this.
So let's talk about the premise. So
do we have to?
Yeah, it's a lady who paints fantastic pictures. And it's during an era when having a lady's name as the artiste won't do it any good for merchandising.
Yeah.
So her husband puts his name down, Keen.
Yeah.
And he is Keen. And he sort of takes the
glory.
The glory of it. And she has issues with this. And
understandably so.
Yeah. And that's kind of what it's about, really, isn't it? And how they end up dealing with it and so on.
I'd say there'll be a little bit of emotional conflict. Possibly a danger to their marriage.
Quite possibly.
Maybe some financial implications. And possibly some commentary on social interactions in, post-suffragette America. And, maybe at the end of the day, we'll all kind of have to take a step back and think real hard about how we treat the fairer sex in our lives.
I think that's brilliant, Mike. I want to stand up and clap. I really do. But please, nobody make me watch this film. God, I never saw a film that interested me less. It's a pity Shaun isn't here actually to laud feminine values. But God, we've seen so many things about how shit it was to be a woman once upon a time, and maybe it still is. I haven't been a woman in a long time now. Wow. But I don't think this film is going to be interesting. There's far better treatments of that subject matter than this looks like it is.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. The third one we looked at was A Most Violent Year, which is a crime drama set in New York City during the winter of '81. This is all straight from IMDb, by the way. Which was statistically one of the most violent years in the city's history, and it's pretty much centered on the lives of an immigrant and his family trying to do well with their business and so on, amongst all this decay and
the olive oil business.
Well, yeah. So this stars Oscar Isaac, who we were just talking to a few minutes ago, Jessica Chastain, and they were the ones that stood out anyway. For me. So, what do you think of this?
Yeah, I'm really interested in seeing this movie about the Corleone families taking on the other 5 families in New York in the 80s. Yeah, it'd be great. Yeah.
Mark?
Much more my cup of tea, this one, Steve. This is a film I can get behind.
Yeah.
And it seems to hit on a lot of the things that made The Goodfellas such a great film.
Oh, true story.
They deal with not only the subject matter of crime and organized crime and how that runs in the past, where it was far more interesting and involved less dodging of wiretaps and the like, but they also show how it affects the families and the people that aren't directly involved. And they did that very effectively in Goodfellas, and it kept everybody interested. And I think they're trying to do that. And they seem to have captured a lot of it from what we can see in the trailer. So can't wait to watch it. Steve, if the worst day of your life consisted of accidentally killing your girlfriend with an axe, chainsawing your own arm off, and watching in horror as your closest friends were devoured by a zombified Nazi battalion, you'd have to assume that things couldn't get much worse. In Martin's case, that was only the beginning. Yes, bicyclers and bicyclettes, we'll be reviewing Dead Snow 2 Red vs. Dead in this podcast next week. You might remember a couple of weeks past we reviewed the poster, which is a tough thing to review, but I think you'll agree we did an excellent job. We're going to get a sneaky preview look and possibly some interviews with the cast and crew. So that'll be all coming up next week.
Excellent. Also, just like to say a big thanks to Max Nichols for talking to us just this week. And also, if anyone has any comments, suggestions for reviews, etc., please tweet us at isitabicycle or send us an email at podcast@isitabicycle.com.
Because it is hard work finding interesting things to review every week.
Yeah.
And it is hard work. You get one tweet from someone that cares, and all of a sudden your day's brighter. Do you want to make someone's day brighter?
So from Mike, Mark, Steve, and Shaun, stay classy.